We got our own theme song. Yes. Welcome to Coffee Experts Club, everybody. Great to see everyone today. Ben Clatterbuck, fine to see you. Fine to see you.
Yes, sir. I was actually really enjoying that music. I feel like I need to get a Singapore sling or a Mai Tai and chill on a patio somewhere.
I felt like I was like ascending in some like Latin country elevator. I'm just like, dude, this is so good. Yes, just getting my groove on.
I like that.
Oh man, Drew Moody just taking naps on us again today, not showing up for Coffee Experts Club. Come on, Drew. What in the
He forgot to drink his
world?
coffee. That's what it is.
Yes. That's a good one. Good one. Good one. How's the day going, Ben Clutterbuck?
Ain't too shabby. Not bad for Tuesday. Tuesday, yeah, Tuesday. Not bad at all.
Yeah, Tuesday. Tuesdays are better than Mondays, right? Tuesdays are better than Mondays. Although, man, Tuesdays have turned into just a ton of meetings. There's just no way around that we are underneath a shit ton of meetings on Tuesdays. That's just how it's rolling, Ben
Yeah.
Clutterbuck.
Yep. But hey, at least it's not a shit ton of meetings on a Monday.
No kidding. Yeah, Mondays I block off completely. I'm like, no, actually, I'm not available on Mondays. Mondays are so crazy. I'm just like, I know the firestorm is going to kick up with so much volume. Like, there's no reason for me to allow people to book calls on Mondays. So I have a couple of calls, like somebody that asked me for a particular day, and I'm like, son of a, how do I say no? But I can't say no. So yes, I can meet on Mondays, but I do not allow people to book calls with me on Mondays. It's just too much.
Same. Mondays, you just need to it's like a warm up day. You got to get warmed up for the week.
Dude, if I could do Mondays in bed, you know what I'm saying? Just like in my bed, still do my work. I'm not talking about being lazy. I'm just saying like there should be some sort of reprieve given as a gift on Mondays. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you technically could if you really wanted to. You could do that.
Dude, I mean, you're the king of all kinds of radical automations coming up behind you, especially what they're doing with AI these days. I'm sure we've got to be able to do something where like Jeeves walks up and it's a rendition of Aaron. Nobody even sees Aaron on the true camera. I mean, we got to come up with something, right?
Dude, you probably could honestly do a good deep fake of yourself and then just like have your camera off and sit like in front of your TV and just chime in every once in a while with your voice. And it's just your mouth moving on your picture.
And the key is, I think, is if you put your hand up in front of your mouth and then when you talk, then people aren't sure, is he talking right now? Is he not talking right now? And then like that
Fair.
way you could get away with it,
No, that's a really good one.
right? Anyway, enough nonsense, Ben. So,
Anywho,
Experts Club this week. Last week we talked to Emma from Human Being Reno.
yep.
I'll tell you what, every time Tasha comes on with one of her managers, I'm like, how does this lady throw so many ringers? You know what I mean? I just feel like over and over and over, like every manager she brings on the store, like on the show, like all those girls down there in Reno are just badasses.
Yep. Yep. I honestly, and the biggest takeaway I took from at least her location specifically was just the fact they never lose employees. Like their turnover rate's so low. And I mean, obviously a testament to how great of a manager she is and how great of a regional Tasha is, but to never lose any employees and have no employees want to ever leave your stand, that's such a great indication of how awesome your manager is doing. It was so cool to hear that.
Well, I think especially, I mean, Ben, there's our boy. See,
Mr. Moody.
enough trash for a consistent amount of time before Drew Moody gets here. And just so you know, we had a picture of Sisha up on the screen with your name underneath it for the beginning of the show, just so that everybody would know that Drew Moody needs to enter with shame as he enters in the room. There it is. There's our girl. Woo! Oh, wait a minute. I can't hear Drew. We didn't get a sound tech. Drew? Like this, but this because this could be part of the Monday deal, right? This is part of Monday deal, right? Ben, we talked about this.
Yeah, he's got his.
Drew's
You
not.
guys had me.
AI in the
You guys
background.
had me muted. That wasn't me at all.
We just want
I
you
couldn't
for your
even
good
defend
looks,
myself.
man. We just want you for your good looks. Oh,
What's up, guys?
Anyway,
Sorry, I'm late.
we had taken a break of talking trash, and we were actually talking about content on the show.
Nice. Just takes a little while to work into it.
Anyway, we were talking about Emma from last week from Human Being Reno, and we were talking about how like Tasha just Human Being Reno. I'm so impressed with the managers they bring on to the show every time we meet with them. I feel like every time they three ringers. And Ben was saying how impressed he was with Emma of how, her origin story, but then how she's just retained. Everybody loves working with Emma. You know what I mean? And that her staff has pretty much been the same for the amount of time that she's been managing, which is a pretty powerful testimony.
Yeah, they have down there a special kind of leadership style that I mean I like to see in the stores. It's um, they've got good connectivity between the baristas, and the peer to peer relationships are always pretty healthy, and they have a knack for problem solving. So I think if we could all have teams that would problem solve amongst themselves, we'd be in much more blessed life. It doesn't occur all the time. So there's something about the way that they lead those kids that is pretty unique and special.
So did you now? I mean, obviously, for those of you just joining the show and you didn't know, Drew actually spent time in Reno, worked there for 4 months, and just was there holding space to help Tasha with the lift after the passing of the founder. When he had passed away, we were concerned. They brought the collab team in to help with the extra lift on just making sure the owner's brother, who was coming in and stepping in as the operating manager for the whole chain, that we just had good presence there for Tasha, who was the regional manager. And so we moved Drew down there. Drew lived in Reno for 4 months. I think it was intended to be like a 1 month stint, and then it just kept getting like 1 month longer. But Drew, in your time in Reno, living down there and helping support management of new locations and growing locations and building new things down there, did you get much experience with Emma?
Yeah, I mean, so there's the four locations, and I tried to spend a good amount of time with each manager and in the stands and with the baristas, and so I got to know the teams pretty well, and I got to know the managers pretty well, and I got to spend some good time with Emma. She's a little youngster. I don't know if it was mentioned on the call. She's young, so I'm only getting older here in the coffee world. So in the conversations we have around what motivates the younger generation, I think we have to look towards the younger generation because obviously it's going to motivate them the same way. So if we have a chance to put those people into a position of leadership, when they carry those natural leadership qualities and insights into basic human behavior, which is what they need, when we can harvest that information from them and keep giving them opportunity, which is what Tasha has done and Emma has excelled at, I think of course we're all going to benefit. So I got to see her work and I think she was fairly new-ish when I first got on, so she was learning the ropes and just dominating. Man, she learned fast, and she was attentive, and she was juggling a plethora of other things other than just work, which not even we do these days. All we juggle is work. So extra impressed with her and her abilities to manage a lot of conflicting priorities and put HB Reno at the top.
Do you think is it just that they've put like a really like easy to follow management system in place that she was able to rise up, or do you think it was just like she was just a natural like badass is just going to conquer anything and everything? So I'm curious. It's like when they hire a new manager, is it I mean places we worked in the past, it's like a little bit of chaos. You're just like I have no idea what I'm doing, and she figured that out, or is it just a really easy systemized process of raising that manager up that they have in place?
Well, I mean, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I think that Tasha has done an excellent job putting systems in place, and I think that maybe Emma was just her learning style was just congruent with what was in place already. So some people might have a harder time. Emma just had a knack for it and caught onto it really easily, and I think part of the reason that she excels at what she does is that she does inspired work. She does her work with purpose and on purpose. It's not just something that she does in the meantime. It's not just something she does to fill her space. It's something that she's happy to do, and she's always smiling. She's always in a good mood. I never saw that girl out of a good mood in all the 4 months that I was there. So, the makings of a great leader is somebody who's consistent and can show up, and you know what you're going to get every time. And she had that. But as of course, giving all credit to Tasha for the systems, they do have a nice, solid infrastructure for those kids to follow, and communication with vendors and delivery systems, and just really robust information available for those kids to really catch on to things.
will say something that really stuck out to me because obviously not only is she a great leader, but I felt like something that really stood out to me was a great leader under pressure. You know, she talked to you about the car show, that would come in, that comes in to their parking lot. And obviously that it changes the whole dynamic of workflow. You know what I mean? Like it moves away from drive through traffic, and it moves into walk up traffic, So, like just the craziness of a business model shift, but a manager that's able to rally well under those conditions too, a manager that's able to say, like I'm going to show up on this day, and this day is going to look a lot different than most days, but I'm not going to let that throw me off. I feel like that's always an inspiring leader, somebody that's like versatile and not doesn't get stuck in their own ways, but realizes no, I need to show up how I need to show up as the business needs me to show up today, and she seemed like that kind of leader, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean it's inspiring because I also wish that I had those qualities. And it's kind of like working out a muscle. If you are able to withstand a little bit of pressure one day, it's going to be easier the next time, and adding more and more pressure. She kind of was developing her intuitive sense of what to do in problematic situations, and I mean, I saw that we had issues with their POS system. We had issues with gift cards. We had issues with customers. They had coffee shops have issues. It's not unique to HB. There's just a plethora over 4 months. You're going to have a lot of little things to deal with, and maybe communication issues with their headsets. And every time, chill as a cucumber. She just, which I think, of course, when your heart doesn't start beating a lot faster, you can still think clearly about what to do next. And she did have that ability.
We call that the Taryn Turner effect. The Taryn Turner effect. Taryn, I feel like, is one of those kind of guys that's like, nope, not going to be shaken. No matter what kind of situation he's in, Taryn's just like cool as a cucumber. But I will say too, and I don't want to tie off that part too quick because I do think there's a lot of power in what we're talking about with Emma. But I would like to touch in on the brilliance of Jeff of creating an event in his parking lot that was something that was his passion, but also fed his business. You know what I mean? Because I think that Jeff, the original founder and owner, Jeff Roden, for Human Being Reno, had a passion for Broncos, and historic Broncos, and like would do these car shows in their parking lot every week, and with that got to rally with the boys and hang out and like shoot the shit on cars, right? Like just like good old boy style, but also create 70 people standing in his line waiting to
Yep.
get coffee. Well, which I thought was pretty ingenious for all the different business leaders we've talked to. We don't talk to a lot who think about how can I do events in my parking lot that are going to feed my business. So that was an interesting concept. I'd love to chew on that a little bit together.
Yeah, it brought me back. It made me remember in the way back in the Roasters days at our Road 68 location, we had a year anniversary party, and it was like we had a DJ out on the patio, like we did drink specials, but it was huge. It was like another grand opening day because it was just like let's have an event, let's make an event, let's tell people about it, and people love events, especially if you tie that with a deal. I mean, obviously, it
Yeah.
sounds like their every Sunday doesn't need a deal. People just it becomes a part of their routine, which is smart. Like if you can create that big thing and then just keep doing the big thing every week, it becomes a weekly routine thing that is so smart. Kind of like we were talking about at our Southridge location back in the day, where it was like baseball season was like you knew every Sunday all the families are going to be
Yeah.
out there for baseball games or soccer games or whatever. Like how can you capture that and just make it your own schedule. Like, when do we have a slow hour? Saturdays from 1 to 3. Okay, let's do an event on Saturdays from 1 to 3 and get the community involved. It's so smart.
Oh, and I think in the entrepreneurial spirit, there's a lot of creativity, but when we get too bogged down into the details, we have a hard.
See ya.
That that was pretty
Oh,
fun.
You're back.
I got a phone call right in the middle of that.
It was the best idea you had yet, too. So don't move it on.
Where he had a large empty parking lot next to his stand, and where some people would see that as a drawback, he saw opportunity. So if you have those people, even in your ranks, a lot of these young kids are creative. It's nice to spread out your information gathering and ask your kids what you can do. Because where I might see a roadblock in an empty parking lot, I'm like, okay, there's no businesses next to me. This kind of sucks. He saw something he could create an event with.
Yeah, and honestly, that again goes back to harkens back to having good systems in place for your managers and your shops, so that like they're there to run the day-to-day business. Like they're not going to be the ones who are going out and having these entrepreneurial visions of what they want the business to do. That's what your visionaries for. Like you want your visionary to be out of the day-to-day and to be like thinking about, how can I do this, or how can I do that, how can I create an event. You don't want them worried about the you know dry goods ordering of a certain shop every day. Like you want them out of that. So a good manager frees up your visionary to be able to be like, okay, let's do an event. I'm planning the whole thing. So I think that a lot of good boxes got ticked to put that in place and to keep it running successfully.
I think that I remember one time I heard Kevin Harrington, one of the original Sharks on the Shark Tank, speak to the power of screens. You know what I'm saying? Like moving away from traditional marketing of, oh, I've got to get on TV, or I've got to get on the big screen of like a movie theater, or I've got to get out in front of some big mass media, and breaking it down to little screens. Like how can we get in front of little groupings of people, little tribes of people, and then therefore it's going to only benefit me because a lot of little tribes actually create a lot of times more than the big masses that have a harder time tracking with a lot of different um, a lot of different noise that you might find trying to compete on the bigger platforms. You know what I mean? And so I think that the coolest thing in my mind is when it comes to something like the car show on the coffee lot is how can I tap into a community of people that then on the flip side of that is going to generate more of those kinds of people, and then I'm complementing with my business. You know what I mean? So therefore, the coffee club can take it on, or the car club can take on bringing the people there and getting them there every Saturday and doing whatever. But it partners up well with my application of a coffee shop there.
No, I like that. Speaking of noise, do we have some background noise? Oh, it's that shisha.
Yeah, she started growling, so I figured I had to pick her up before she starts barking. Yeah, there she is.
No, it's so true. Like if you can find that thing, and I wonder, it would have been cool to ask him, or curious to ask him, like how much planning he put into this. If it was just like a, hey, we're doing this tomorrow type thing, and then they just ran with it, or if this is something that he'd been planning for a long time and wanted to put together. Like that's something I feel like. I mean, the Outsider, they do a great job of this. It's slightly separate, but they do like their podcast and their other avenues where they're creating events and creating a community of their brand. I think so many coffee shop owners get stuck in the like, my brand is the coffee that goes out the window, and that's it. Like, not anything else. We just make coffee. But what Jeff did and what Outsiders done with the podcast is they're like, okay, we have a brand. Let's make a community out of it and invite people into the community of our brand, which is, I mean, it's so great for building your footprint in your community, the housetops around you, and building, sort of that raving fan inside your brands, inside your company.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's a powerful thing when you can loop in multiple people, all with similar interests, and then feed them what you're selling. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, how can we bring all these different people in and then offer something that they need or they want that can move everybody forward? So I think that just a powerful thing to see Jeff Roden's legacy carry on, and then also obviously to see his ability to find leaders. Tasha, for Tasha, then pass that on, find leaders. Emma, for Emma, then to be able to, like she said, go from an assistant manager of a small store to step into a much larger volume store at grand opening, and then just see it continue to grow and move. And then obviously as they come up on their grand opening of their next location, I mean, they're not a brand that's stopping. Even in the midst of some of the complications of construction right now, and midst of rising cost of commodities throughout, coming out of the backside of COVID and all the different pieces, like they've continued to take ground, which I think is testimony to a great leader with a great vision and passing that leadership on. It's like Jim Collins' book that we talk about a lot, Good to Great. I mean, like, how can you make sure that the next generation beyond you is stepping on your shoulders to take them things to the next level, and you don't get so much ego caught up in it that you think it all has to be about you,
Yeah, I think the next time we have Tasha on in the future too, we should really pick her brain about just how she you know, how they spot these managers inside their organization. Because I mean, Emma, obviously starting as an assistant manager, like Tasha had a hand in spotting and saying, okay, she's going to make a good manager for this location. You know, she's got what it takes. I think a lot of that is, you know, as you grow in the industry, like you begin to spot, you know, key skills from people. But it's really cool to pick her brain. I'm like, okay, what was it about Emma that stood out? You're like, she's gonna make a great manager, because she's obviously a great one. And if you could, you know, put that list on paper and be like, if you spot these 5 things in a person, make them a manager immediately, and you'll be successful for it. That'd be such a key to like success inside an organization.
It'd be nice if it was foolproof like that, huh?
Yeah, right.
I don't think, I mean, not only foolproof, but it's like, you know, Drew and I were talking about another client earlier today that's having a manager problem. And like, it's tough when you feel like you spot talent and then they exhibit talent for a window of time. And then for some reason, they're just like, like they just go down, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like you were incredible when you showed up, and we hired you because of that, and we elevated you because you were the one that showed the best promise. But then, like, how does this work when, you know, like we start seeing things drop? And then how long do you work with people on that level of, no, we saw something in you. We're going to continue to be faithful to invest in you and critique, obviously, and help you grow. But at the same time, when do you move? When do you juke? People are people, right? It's tough. It's not robots. You know, it's people.
But wouldn't that be so much easier?
Have you seen those things? Those stalls, like the machines in I think Seattle has one as you walk by. It's in one of the big airports. I don't know if it's Seattle, but it's a machine on its own that's all robots that like pulls the shot and steams the milk and puts it all into cups and hands it out the window.
Yep. That's where me and Drew differ, because I was always like, let's just fill a shop full of robots. It'll make our jobs 100 times easier. And Drew's like, I like having people, actually.
Well, and, you know, like you said, when we get caught up in our brand being the cup going out the window, it's the more that you develop your business, the more you realize that a lot of it has to do with human development, you know, and the systems you put in place that develop the people. Like, you want to escalate, you want to elevate yourself to another level, you better make sure you're able to elevate the people underneath you to the same level. So, I mean, you got to keep in mind, I got to keep in mind that people working with our people, they're motivated by things that people are motivated by, and not just the systems I put in place or the rules that I have for them. All has to do with their inspiration as well.
Yeah.
I do think that it's people don't come into the coffee shop typically always just for the coffee. You know what I mean, they want the conversation, and robots don't make good conversation. Although AI is pretty impressive right now, I'm not gonna lie. Like ChatGPT, I mean, like, how can we incorporate that into our baristas, Ben?
I think for the foreseeable future, people are going to want to see smiles on faces for sure when they get their coffee.
Yeah, there's no way around it. I think my kid Joy is a barista at a little indie up in Corvallis, Albany, actually, and they're based out of Salem. And I will say, like, people come in and they'll tip like $20, $50 on a generous day, just to be generous, just before the conversation across the counter, or to flirt with the cute girls behind the counter. Either way, like there's a big tip that's there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think those kind of tips happen with machines. You know what I'm saying? I don't think robots are going to get those kind of tips.
Fair.
It's true.
All right, gents. Another great Coffee Experts Club. Excited for who we're going to have next week. We're going to have a special guest next week. You don't want to miss it. And we'll see you guys next time on Coffee Experts Club.
See you guys.